So we're going to take a break from White Rose today. So we're going to work from, you should have a link to a photograph of the Target Your Maths books. If you're at school, obviously you can take your own copy of the Target Your Maths books. It's page 65. But I thought we could just do with spending a little bit more time on this. So remember that we said that to find 10% of something, you have to divide by 10. The reason for that is that percent just means out of 100, so 10% means 10 out of 100. And we can simplify 10 out of 100 to 1 out of 10. If you simplify it, 10 out of 100 is exactly the same as 1 out of 10. And we know that when we do fractions, to find a fraction of a number, we divide by the bottom and times by the top. So obviously when you have a 1 at the top, you just need to divide by the bottom because that's not going to do anything. Times it by 1 won't change the number. So when we need to find 10% of a number, we do divide by 10. So for example, if you had £30 and you needed to give away 10% of it, you do 30 divided by 10 and you'd be giving away £3. If you had 10%, if you had 30, let's use a different number, pardon me. If we had 40 hours to do something, we had 40 hours to do something, I don't know, 40 hours to do a massive piece of work. Imagine you were writing a book and it took you 40 hours. And then you said 10% of that time was used checking it. So if you took 40 hours to write a book, 10% of that time was used to check it. Then we could say, well, divide by 10 is 4. So how many hours did I use checking this book? 4 hours, okay. So that's, in short, oh, I've lost my rubber again, 1 second. So in short, that's how you do it. Now the reason why we've learned how to find 10%, which is dividing by 10, 50%, which is the same as 50 over 100. Now you can simplify that right down to a half, which means divided by 2. 25%, which is the same as 25 out of 100, which will simplify all the way down to 1 over 4, a quarter. So we divide by 4. And we worked out how to do 1%, because 1% is 1 out of 100. That doesn't simplify anymore. So we knew we need to divide by 100. The reason why we've learnt those 4 is because they're all of the percentages, which when written as a fraction will be 1 over something. Okay. None of the other percentages we can whittle down to 1 out of something. They'll all be a fraction which won't have a 1 on the top. So they're a little bit more difficult to work out. That's why we've learnt those 4. And it's very, very important that if you still don't remember those 4, that you remember it now. Now, that doesn't mean we can't find out the other ones. In fact, some of them are pretty easy. So to find 5%, well, that's just half of 10%, isn't it? 5% of something is just half of 10%. So again, if I use my 40 example, and we worked out that 10% of 40, I think we said £40, didn't we? 10% of that is going to be 4. Now 5% is just half of that, because 5 is half of 10. So 5% of 40 is going to be 2, because 5% is half of 10%. 10% in this example was 4, so half of it is going to be 2. Similarly, if we go the other way, 20% is just doubled. So 20% of 40, well, 10% is 4, 20% is going to be double. So it's going to be 8. And then we can take that one step further. We can say, well, what about 60%, for example? Well, if we know that 10% of 40, we worked that one out already, dividing it by 10 is 4. 50%, remember 50% is divided by 2 or half. Half of 40 is 20. 60% is just 10% plus 50% because 10 plus 50 is 60. So 60% of 40 is 10%, which is 4, add 50%, which is 20, which was 24. For today's lesson, we're not going to take it any further than that because I think we just need to practice. So your maths, the target maths questions, sorry, my camera just reset then. You can see that the green questions are just finding 10%. That's all you need to do. And to find 10%, you just need to divide by 10. So all the green questions is just practicing dividing by 10. That's all 10% is. So you'll need to now have a look at these ones. So it wants you to find out what 10% is, what 5% is, and what 20% is. So once you find 10%, 5% is going to be half of that. Once you find 10%, 20% is going to be double it. Okay? And then have a go at these more difficult ones. Well, 70% is either, you could say, well, 10% and then times 7. So 70% of 250. Well, 10% is 25. And then you can do 25 times 7. 30%. Well, 10% of 600 is 60. So if 10% 60, 30% is going to be 60 times 3. 25%, sorry, 60%, you're going to have a decimal here because 10% is 2.5. And then what's 2.5 times 6? Because 10% is 2.5, 60 is 6 times more. Okay, so work through these questions. There's a little explanation at the top there. And we'll go through it again at 12 o'clock today to see if that's helped, okay? Once you've finished those, or once you think, actually, do you know what, I'm okay with that, go back to Monday's lesson and have a go at the delving into mastery questions, okay? I think that will be really, really helpful. Okay, I hope that helps.